Listening, we're always aiming high. We've got lots of great ideas for you. It's time to amplify.
Welcome to Amplify, a podcast series by the Association for Accounting Marketing. I'm Nicky Lee, Marketing Director with Isom, and I'm your host for today's session. Joining me is Veronica Rodriguez. Veronica is Marketing Manager at PDR Certified Public Accountants in Tampa, Florida. And she's also the 2015 AAM Rookie of the Year. And she's also the 2015 AAM Rookie of the Year. Veronica, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, let's start right in. What made PDR realize they needed a marketing role in-house?
I think they started to notice that their firm was growing, and the fact that the digital age needed a marketer in-house. They knew social media was a big aspect of their firm and trying to communicate with the community through the digital landscape. So I think knowing that and just all the different, marketing collateral and things they needed a new marketing person. So they decided to hire me.
Great. What were the challenges in establishing a marketing role at your firm?
I think the biggest challenge was the fact that I came straight out of school. So they didn't have like a marketing director that kind of, led the marketing department. So it was kind of me trying to decide where I should start, what different strategies I should implement. So that was kind of the biggest challenge, and also trying to get credibility within the firm and trying to communicate the value of marketing, I think was probably the hardest, and, trying to have a budget put into place specifically for marketing.
Sure. Well, you touched upon a few things that I'd love to go into further. What was one of the first things you did to gain credibility?
One of the few things I did was I started to learn a lot about the accounting industry. So I knew in order for me to communicate the value of marketing, I had to kind of get their perspective on how they see accounting and, where they're coming from. So I tried to learn a lot about the tax extenders, tried to get involved a lot through social media, following the IRS, things like that kind of gave me the knowledge on how to communicate accounting. And then from there, I just kind of dove in on where I should start. I got my SEO certification, and then I took a WordPress class. Since I knew everything was going to be in-house and we were working with a low budget, I decided I needed to get at least those underneath my belt to kind of, do the maintenance on the website and just kind of implement a new template and kind of get a fresh look for PDR. So I think doing that and then starting to become a part of, AIM and the minute, I started to gain more credibility within the industry of accounting, for marketing. A lot
Sure.
for the first year.
Sure is. So what are some of the most important marketing strategies that you implemented to promote the PDR brand? And I heard you talk about social media. Mm-hmm. So maybe you could expand on that.
Okay. Some of the few digital strategies I did was I kind of brought everything on social media, and I started to develop more of a brand online. One of the biggest things was how I can increase our brand awareness. We've been around for 40 years, but not so many people know about us. So that was one of the first things I did was try and get a cohesive, consistent look on social media. And then from there, I implemented all of content marketing that would help with our social media, and I brought that to our website and started to do more lead generation. I think that's one of the hardest things is bringing that value for marketing into the accounting role. Or the accounting firm, is trying to create those leads. And so for me, content marketing, social media marketing, digital landscape kind of all ties into one. And if you can build those leads using, those strategies, then I think, it worked for us. So that was the first strategy I kind of did. And then the second one was trying to get more involved with the community. Since we are a local firm, we are part of the BDO Alliance. So we were trying to communicate that we're a local firm, but had those national level resources to work with, bigger companies. So that was another thing I did. I did a lot of, community sponsorships. I brought our name out there. I made a new brand campaign called Local Firm National Level Resources to kind of, communicate that whole overall feel for the firm now. So.
Well, congratulations. That sounds really successful and a nice way of integrating both the digital as well as the traditional landscape.
Exactly. Yep.
Great. Well, you touched upon this also, lead generation. How do you measure the value that you bring in this role of marketing?
I've implemented a lot of KPIs. So specifically for me, I use a lot of Google Analytics. So when I'm doing a lot of the social media, I try to see how much traffic is being generated coming from those social media accounts that go directly to our website. So if I can kind of communicate the traffic through that, then social media is okay with them. And then it's how do I implement lead generation contact forms on our website in order to generate those leads. So between that Google Analytics and then having the contact forms is kind of how I measure my success in terms of lead generation. For brand awareness, it's more of just the following that I get. You know, how much higher is our following compared to the last 6 months? Or how many more impressions are we getting? Are we getting a lot more retweets? Are people sharing our content? Things like that is how I kind of measure, the marketing overall.
Okay, great. And then in terms of the social media aspect, have you found that one platform is more effective than others? LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter?
For me specifically, we work with LinkedIn and Twitter the most. I use LinkedIn specifically for business articles to communicate our professionals' expertise. I've tried to get our accountants more involved on social media, just, for thought leadership specifically, and to help them in their personal branding. So I think LinkedIn is great for that. Twitter is more of trying to connect with the community and trying to, share our thoughts with everyone else online. The only thing with Twitter is that you really have to be consistent on using Twitter. It's not like LinkedIn where you can, post one article a week. Twitter is a lot more involved. And so with that, I use a content management system like Hootsuite to schedule all of my tweets. But specifically with Twitter, I like to show the culture of our firm and show the personality of our firm. And so that's why I use Twitter more, and just to get connected with the accounting industry thought leaders specifically. So you have the CPA practice advisor, the IRS, the Accounting Today, CPA trend lines. I tend to follow all of them and just retweet most of their information that we can't or we don't have time to do. So I think that's what a lot of the smaller firms have trouble with, is having that time involved with creating content and having that thought out there. I don't have the expertise to do that. So I tend to just try and get involved with those thought leaders in the industry where I can just retweet and make sure that our clients and prospects that, are following us have that information valued to them, available to them. Facebook, I don't really work with too much. I do more of the culture for the firm, but we tend to get more following and more traffic through LinkedIn and Twitter.
And have you found that the accountants in the firm are hopping on board and adopting and using social media themselves?
Yeah, actually, they are. Specifically in the last 6 months, I've gotten a shareholder and a principal specifically on board. And she's one of our shareholders, Mary Postingle, has used it specifically for thought leadership, but also to kind of communicate her personality through there. And I think that she's found that just the fact that people are following her, she can kind of communicate and get involved more with the community. With our principal, he does most of the business development. And so he's learned that you can go to events and find all these people using the hashtags at those events and then meet them in person. And it just it's like a platform or a foundation for you to kind of get a good, grip on, who they are before you're going to meet with them. So he's found that it's been good for him to do business development with and just, communicate his expertise, and it's worked for him. So, yeah.
That's great. That's great. So tell us, how does your role in business development differ from your role in marketing?
Okay, my business development, I would say, is more trying to create those leads for, our business developers who mainly try to close them out. So I do more of the content marketing and trying to get those contact forms and all that information for, to generate those prospects and those leads online. When I go out to events, I would meet people and I'll follow the hashtags or the conference hashtags, or I'll just want to meet people in person. And then I just try to get to know them a lot more, aside from accounting. So I find it easier when you just try to get to know them before talking about accounting services. You tend to figure out exactly what they need. And then when you tell me work for an accounting firm, then they realize, oh, they need certain services. And I tend to just say, I work specifically with, a principal or one of our tax professionals. Let me introduce them to you. So I'm more of that, first introduction when I go out and meet events or I meet people who might need accounting services. Whereas I'm actually doing the business development, I find it harder for me to communicate the value of our firm when I don't really have the expertise to really, get into a good solution for them.
So you really serve as a conduit, making introductions and helping people find each other.
Exactly, yeah. As long as I could try and get to know them and how their personality is, it's a good way to communicate to the business developer exactly how that person is and how they should communicate with. Because I feel like every person is different and every industry is different. So as long as they have that, good foundation of where to start the conversation, it's easier for them to close the deals.
Now, as AIM Rookie of the Year, it's obvious that you've participated in AIM and gotten value out of that experience. Can you talk about how your participation in AIM has helped you in your career?
Sure. So when I first got involved, I knew I needed a good support group because when you're the only marketer here, it's kind of hard, to try and get advice or, where you should start. So when I found AIM, I just decided to kind of get on board, and I wanted to be a part of the Association for Accounting Marketing Minute newsletter, which is creating content. And the reason I liked to get specifically involved with that was just because I wanted to do a lot more research. And that's basically what the Minute is. We go out and do a lot of research and try and find content that's good value for all the marketers in the association. So I figured not only was I bringing value to everyone else, I was learning myself and I was consistently learning on how to do different strategies and implement, new things for the firm. So with that, I feel like it's helped me a lot, to just kind of communicate this value. And then I created such good relationships and friendships within AIM, with people who are directors and CMOs in their own firms that it's brought in a different perspective for me. Because I'm just starting out as a new role. I kind of got to see where they, ended up in their careers and the different paths they took, that it's helped me kind of do my own personal branding and see kind of where I want to go for my future. So it's helped me a lot.
Well, speaking of your own future, where do you see yourself down the road 3 to 5 years from now?
I'll probably still be with PDR CPAs, hopefully a director at that point. Trying to just get more involved with the community, do a lot more case studies or, doing a lot more speaking specifically, get more involved with AIM and different, aside from just doing the newsletter. But I guess, down the road, I just kind of want to be more of a director than an actual CMO. I think I still like, getting involved with the community, just kind of doing little things. I think when you become CMO, there's a lot of responsibility. So I guess we'll see down the future, but right now I'll probably still stick with PDR CPAs as a director.
I'm sure they're glad to hear that. So what advice do you have for people, whether they be partners or new hires, who are launching a marketing function within their own firms?
I would say to just consistently learn and build the skill set that is needed for, the accounting marketing industry. I think would be the biggest thing. I feel like you are always learning something new. And then I guess the second piece of advice is just to be really connected with the shareholders of your group or the decision makers and try and be as involved as possible with them, because you'll find that as long as you have them on board, it's easier to kind of see where the growth of the firm is going to go or where marketing is going to shape the firm to get there in the future. Without that, it's kind of hard to really do anything. In marketing, you'll do, just the social media and the digital aspect, but you really want to get more involved with how to really create and grow the firm. So as long as you have the managing partner and the shareholders on board and communicate the value, it should be good for you.
Awesome. Well, Veronica, thank you for joining us today. You've shared a lot of great information and ideas for people who want to pursue a career in accounting marketing and for firms who want to bring that function in-house into their own firms. So this wraps up another episode of Amplify.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Look for a new podcast in the next month as we continue to bring you ideas from marketing and business development professionals. In the meantime, remember to aim high. Let me take that wrap up one more time.
Okay.
How come I'm the one who needs to do like several takes and
No,
you're just flawless, just
so I like wanted to say so many more different things, but it's okay.
really natural. No, you were great. You're on point. Okay. Well, Veronica, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You've shared a lot of great information and ideas for people who are new to the profession and who want to bring the marketing function in-house. Mm-hmm. This wraps up another episode of Amplify. Look for a new podcast in the next month as we continue to bring you ideas for marketing and business development professionals. In the meantime, remember to aim high.